Hey everyone, I have to start this video by saying Charlie Kirk was absolutely right about something that I call chastity. Now, I'm not a homophobe or a trans hater, just hear me out. I'm just talking about my life experiences, my opinion. Also, for some simplicity's sake throughout this video, I will use the pronouns of a person's biological gender. So first, let's start off with the word chaste and one of its meanings. It just simply says, without unnecessary ornamentation, simple or restrained. So back in the old days, a girl could wear a chaste or simple dress. So just think about that. What is simple when it comes to human relationships? I'll tell you some instances where it gets complicated. One of my past jobs was working with teenagers that were in a residential behavior treatment center. It was only with girls. It was 2016. And one resident there kept saying she was trans or would one day transition to being a man. And also, she said she was gay, as in interested in other men. This individual also went on to say that it wasn't complicated, her sexual orientation. Well, it was complicated. If you're interested in man, why not just be a female? You don't have to dress in flowers and pink, and you don't have to do your hair and nails all the time. You can be you, just in a female body. That makes things less complicated. And I also served a mission for my church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, in 2014. Now, there was an individual in one area I served who was a baptized member of the church, but it was a female deciding to become a male. At the time, there were no surgeries, but this person was on hormones. And I just want to make it clear, my church's policy is that if you have the surgery to transition, that is grounds for excommunication, but hormones, cross-dressing, gray area. Well, this biological female would go into the men's bathroom, but didn't have man's parts. Imagine being a guy and having a female watch you pee in the urinal. She did tell us missionaries about going through some traumatic sexual abuse when she was little, and then said a time or two that if she had been born a boy, that wouldn't have happened. She increasingly made her life more complicated by wanting to go to church and become spiritual, but also not wanting to stop her transitioning. She tried to date other females. We eventually found out she lied about something that the bishop had told her, and the last Sunday I was there, a metaphorical, dramatic bomb just went off. This person made things very complicated for themselves and for others. Now, don't get me wrong, even straight people can get chastity all messed up. One of my guy friends has a brother who is not very religious, and this brother in his late 30s has slept with dozens, if not hundreds, of women. And now he has had to pay child support to 4 baby mamas, and for a while he thought he could have had maybe up to like 6 baby mamas, but he just wasn't sure. So he's had to do a lot of DNA tests just to prove he was or wasn't the father. And he's just using about every little last amount of his paychecks to pay for child support. And he has never been married. So see how awful and confusing that kind of lifestyle becomes? Or, here's another one. What about 2 men that they're married? What about a man and a woman cohabitating? What happens if they decide to stop living together? What happens if you live with someone for 10 years and have 3 kids with them? It's more difficult legally for both you and the children. It's more difficult financially for one of the spouses because there's not alimony involved because, hey, you were never married. Even same-sex couples can get confusing. Let's just say two men marry and want to raise a family. So do they adopt? Do they have to spend a ton of money on surrogacy? Either way, they may not be able to agree which route to take. And they are missing out on being in the birthing room when their child is born. They may have trouble bonding with the child, and even the child having a small identity crisis that comes from all of this, because the child may wonder what their biological parents are like, or what their life would have been like if they just had a mother figure in the picture. But compare all of this to a man and a woman married, having their own children, so on and so forth. I remember growing up in the 1990s and early 2000s, and the questions back then for young adults was, are you married? And if the answer was yes, do you have kids? Now the questions are you married to a wife or a husband? Do you want to have kids? What's your plans? So on and so forth. And besides, there are studies that have shown that married women that have children are the happiest people. Who doesn't want happiness? Just check the links in the description for studies done by credible sources, ones without .com on the end, because yes, I know that .coms are not always credible sources. So I understand if you can't always control who you are attracted to, nor can you always control how you feel about your body, but what you can control are your actions and your happiness. Thanks for watching.